Welcome to today's video where we're diving into one of the most debated topics in modern law, qualified immunity. This legal doctrine plays a critical role in how government officials, especially police officers, are held accountable for their actions. But what exactly is qualified immunity, and why is it so controversial? Whether you're new to the concept or looking to deepen your understanding, we will break down its origins, how it works, and the impact it has on civil rights litigation. Let's explore why this doctrine is at the center of so many heated discussions today. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that has sparked intense debate, particularly in the context of civil rights litigation. At its core, qualified immunity protects government officials, including police officers, from being sued for the actions they take while performing their official duties. However, this protection is not absolute. It only applies if the official's actions did not violate clearly established legal rights that a reasonable person would have known about. The history of qualified immunity dates back to the 1960s, where it was introduced by the US Supreme Court. Originally, the idea was to protect government officials from frivolous lawsuits, allowing them to perform their duties without the constant fear of legal action. The doctrine was designed to balance out the need to hold public officials accountable with the need to allow them to make decisions, often in high-pressure situations, without any hesitation. Over time, however, the doctrine has evolved in ways that many would have believed tipped the balance too far in favor of government officials. One of the main criticisms of qualified immunity is that it sets an incredibly high bar for plaintiffs, usually ordinary citizens, to clear before they can have their case heard in court. To overcome qualified immunity, a plaintiff must show that the official violated a right that was clearly established at the time of violation. This means there must be a previous court decision involving nearly identical facts where the court ruled that the behavior in question was unconstitutional. This requirement makes it extremely difficult for plaintiffs to succeed. Courts often dismiss cases simply because there is no previous case with the exact same facts, even if the official's actions were clearly wrong. As a result, many victims of misconduct never get their day in court, and government officials face little accountability for their actions. The impact of qualified immunity is particularly significant in cases involving police misconduct. For example, if a police officer uses excessive force during an arrest, the victim must not only prove that the force was excessive, but also find a previous case with nearly identical circumstances in which the court ruled that such force was unconstitutional. Given that every situation is unique, finding such a case can be nearly impossible, allowing the officer to escape liability. Critics argue that this creates a catch-22 situation. If courts require plaintiffs to show that a right was clearly established based on previous cases, but they dismiss new cases for lacking precedent with identical facts, then it becomes nearly impossible to ever establish new legal precedents. This, in turn, makes it harder to hold officials accountable in the future. Supporters of qualified immunity, on the other hand, argue that the doctrine is necessary to protect government officials from burdens of litigation. They contend that without qualified immunity, officials would be constantly sued for making split-second decisions, particularly in high-stress situations like policing. They argue that this would not only be unfair for the officials, but would also deter people from entering public service jobs in the first place. However, the doctrine critics counter that the current standard goes too far in protecting officials, often at the expense of justice for victims of misconduct. They argue that there needs to be a better balance, one that allows government officials to perform their duties without the fear of frivolous lawsuits, but also holds them accountable when they violate someone's rights. In recent years, there has been a growing movement to reform or even abolish qualified immunity. Lawmakers, activists, and legal scholars have proposed various reforms, such as lowering the standard for what constitutes a clearly established right or eliminating the doctrine altogether. Some states have even taken matters into their own hands, passing laws that limit or eliminate qualified immunity protections at the state level. The debate over qualified immunity is not just a legal issue, but also a moral and societal one. It raises fundamental questions about the balance between security and accountability, about how much power government officials should have, and about how to ensure justice for those who have had their rights been violated. As this debate continues, it is clear that qualified immunity will remain a contentious and complex issue in the realm of civil rights litigation. Whether it is reformed, abolished, or left as it is, the doctrine will continue to shape the landscape of accountability for government officials in the United States. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more uploads, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.